Hello everybody. Today I'm going to talk to you about one important quality, which is courage. It is when you hear the word courage, immediately what comes to your mind? The word bravery. It is very important for us to be brave as a person because bravery has an influence in our overall personality. Bravery doesn't mean be ready to go for a big fight or go for a big war. It is we have to be brave at various situations, at various level, at in particular ounces. Now, just because I'm brave, I just cannot enter somebody's house and cause ruckus. No. Bravery is supposing somebody is struggling in a particular situation, I should be brave enough to enter and support them, but not overdo my part. So bravery is the synonym. So bravery is very important for us to have an overall good personality. Now let us look at the board work. Here I've written courage means the decision over particular issues and taking necessary action. When you are courageous, you're able to take a decision which is also followed by action. Now, for example, recently I seen a video on Facebook wherein it's late part of the night where a young girl is traveling and there is a family seated in the same bus, little at the back. There's another couple seated on the right side, and suddenly a gang of boys enter and they observe this girl being seated alone. And they try to, trouble her emotionally by leaning on her or by pulling her hair or, just tickling her. They just try to disturb her. Now, the family who was already on the bus, they observe this, but they pretend to ignore. There's another couple who is also on the bus, but the boy asks his girl to go and sit by the window. So he is protecting his girl. But there was a third person who was actually an onlooker of the whole situation. He got up and he rose to the situation where he goes and tries to play tricks with one of the girls who was sitting with her family. So immediately her family members responded. And then through his expression, he signals, that there's another girl who is being attacked and you all were very quiet. The moment I attacked your daughter, immediately you respond. So he made them understand. So the video is taken so well that when we watch the video, we are able to get the message that we need to respond to a situation. We need to have courage. Let it be if it's people of our own family or if it's some other person on the bus. In this video, you really feel as a citizen, you need to be brave. You need to have courage to walk up and tell them that what they're doing is wrong. And of course, be brave enough to face the consequences. So this was one incident. This was my personal learning and I thought I'll share it with you. And those of you who are on Facebook, you might have come across this video which I'm talking to you about. Now, there are different types of courage. I would like to touch upon a few. And courage is, I've actually symbolized this related it with lion. Because lion is a very courageous animal. So I've kept the animal figure here and I've written all the other qualities that are factors that influence courage. Looking at the first one, we look at intellectual. What is intellectual? It deals with the ability to reason out, the ability to understand, the ability to use knowledge on a particular situation. You are ready to take risk, you are ready to understand, you're motivated to solve the problem and you stand by the truth. So this is the intellectual aspect. Then looking at the social aspect, here you feel comfortable and you feel satisfied. For example, if somebody was leaning on me when I was traveling on any of the public transport, and I feel that I'm being misused, and so I feel like actually giving the person a slap, a tight slap. But I can't do it because I'm not physically strong. But I have the ability at least to stamp him with my high heel shoe. So at least I could give him some pain. So I have that satisfaction. So this is just an example of social satisfaction where I feel comfortable that I have actually harmed the person who harmed me and I feel satisfied that at least I was able to stamp his feet. So this is just an example of how I was courageous in a social aspect. And then physical. We need to be, courageous to bear pain, to undertake risk, and to leave our comfort zone. Now, in a crowded train, we always, tend to try to find a place to sit. We don't worry whether there's already 3 people seated on that particular bench or there's 4. We always try to get accommodated. But by doing so, we are putting some people into a lot of stress. We are asking them to, squeeze and sit in. And so this could result in a lot of back pain, neck pain, because it's a long journey. So instead of asking for that kind of a request, we might as well prefer to stand bravely and boldly. Now, if the person decides to accommodate the person who's standing, then they bear physical endurances, like they have to sit with their shoulders crunched, they might have a back pain, as I already said. So this courage also involves physical contact. It could be any of the body related complications. The next one is emotional. When you seek to be courageous, you have a few emotions that play up. 1,000 emotions play up depending on the situation. But the major emotions are anger, joy, sadness, happiness. So I would like to share with you here about a situation where one of my colleagues, she was traveling back to work, and she in a hurry got into the general compartment of the train, and just one station before she could get off to go to her home, she decided to get off the general compartment and she went to the ladies compartment. But in the process of boarding the train, she happened to get a message where she was reading the message, and instead of placing, see, this was the platform and the train is here, this is the train. So she was actually here, and while reading the message, instead of placing her leg on the train directly, she accidentally placed it inside. So as a result, she went inside and there was no time. The train pulled off, and as a result, she lost her hand and the train ran over half of her skull. So this was the lack of attention she paid. We do not know what was the message she was reading, whether the message made her angry or joyful or sad, we do not know. She was so engrossed into that mobile, buried, and she actually lost her life. So instead, she could have had the courage to put by that mobile, whatever, if it was a sad information or if it was a happy news, whatever, put it by, concentrate on what she was doing. So that also requires courage. This was just an example. This happened about 3 years ago. Then going on to the moral aspect of courage, you must have the ability to always do the right thing despite being the risk. Now, risk can be loss of job. It can also be, you can also be embarrassed because of it. Now, because you did this, you become viral on social media for good or bad reasons, whatever. So, the moral aspect it also influences us on how courageous we are. So, always remember the lion. Look at the features once again, and the last feature which I've written here is spiritual. The spiritual courage we need to have is, why do I live? I live to make my life meaningful. I live so that I can be an example to people. I live so that I can help somebody. I live so that I could respond to anybody in danger. This should be the purpose of our life. So we should always remember, do I have a purpose in life? And why? Why me? Why I was asked to be in this situation? Why was I the witness? It is all for a reason. But it is up to us to decide to be courageous and face the situation. The component may be different. It may be spiritual component that is required. It may be intellectual component, physical component, social component, emotional component, and moral component. The component may be of any type, but we have to be courageous and use the right component. If, for example, if there's a husband and wife who's fighting, and the husband is beating up his wife terribly, now what we do at that moment is we just rush and we try to separate them at the first place. So that is the physical component which we are using. The courage to go and separate a family who is unknown to you, you separate them. This shows your personality. You're preventing a woman from being attacked. or you're preventing an individual from being attacked by another individual. So as a result, you may get 2 or 3 clouts. You may get 2 or 3, you may get shoved across. So that is a physical component which you will endure. It will be disgraceful for you to get beaten up by somebody else, and it will be more embarrassing that you have audience watching you getting beating, and you may have some physical pain, like you might have a shoulder pain or your neck or anything can be hurt in this process. What will be the next step is you call the woman separately or you call the man separately, and that is if you're interested in solving their problem, you listen to their concern as to why the physical violence started. So there you're using your intellectual component. There you are telling them what is the reason of it, or you're trying to guide them, you're trying to understand their situation. Now further on, what you're doing is you will automatically give this person some kind of support. You will ask them to contact you later, or maybe if you can put them through some house or somebody who could give them counseling, or somebody who could give them some emotional support, or get them a sponsor. So this is the social aspect which you are contributing, and this involves courage. Further on, it's up to us whether to use the other components in this example. By using this, you're using, the first component you used was anger. You were angry to see the husband and wife fighting and the woman being brutally attacked, so anger. But at the end of the process, you become happy. Then look at the moral component. Did you take the risk? Yes, you took the risk. It is not your job to respond to the situation. You took the risk of solving that fight on a public platform or a public forum. And then the spiritual aspect. So did I complete a good task today? Yes. I've saved somebody from getting brutally attacked. I have brought her man to his bearing. Sometimes men sometimes in the given situation, they tend to violently attack. So I have brought him to his bearings, that I made him realize that what he was doing is wrong. So anything can be sorted out verbally instead of attacking each other physically. So this is an example where we use all the components to be courageous. There are some times where you may not require all the components. We just do whatever is required. We act, we take the decision and we act. And we use only certain components. It depends on the situation. Tomorrow you may be placed in a company where you would ask to bring a particular turnover in maybe 4 years' time. So you should have the courage to work intellectually for it. You must have the courage to undergo physical pain, sleepless nights, or maybe overworking yourself, or even going for additional project classes or project work so that you learn better. And then you also have to have an emotional balance as to understand why you're doing. So everything, whatever we do, we need to have courage in the first place. I would like to remind you about Mr. Abhinandan, Indian Air Force Wing Commander. So what happened when he was kept with the Pakistani government? He was very courageous. He was courageous no matter what. He did not reveal what he was not supposed to reveal. He kept up to his moral and principles. And as a result, he became very viral on social media, and everybody knows about Abhinandan. The same Abhinandan was here years ago in Chennai, but we never knew about this wing commander. But today, because of his courageous act, everybody knows about him, and history books will talk about him for generations to come. So I always remember courage. When you say courage and bravery, I was able to quickly relate this to Mr. Abhinandan. So let us learn from people who are courageous. Let us remember our great freedom fighters. We might have some courageous people in our own families where they have done some brave act, and as a result, somebody is happy, somebody is enjoying the fruits of it. So likewise, let us take examples from people in our lives at our own levels and be courageous, because it takes a courageous person to have a good personality. Because a person who's scared cannot be successful. A person who's scared of his own shadow cannot face light. So let us always remember courageousness is very important. Thank you.